So I decided today I'm going to make a video on this carbmate twin cylinder synchronization tool. Here's the box right here. I just ordered this on a Sunday at around, I would say, about 4 o'clock. And I received it Monday morning. Can you believe that? Amazon Prime pays off. So anyways, I got this synchronization tool. Now I did this by ear the other day, and when I started the bike and revved it up and everything, it was going around, it was lighting up around here and there, mostly around 1, because you can only get it so close by ear. Okay, so let me go through a quick instruction about how to use this tool. First, you want to hook it up to your battery. Okay, my battery's underneath the tank. It happens to be a pain in the ass, but in this case I just got the cables in there and it was great. I am working on a BMW R1150 GS. Today is Titania's birthday. That's the name of the bike, by the way, because she just hit 70,000 miles. And I wanted to buy her a gift to make her feel good. So let's go through the instructions, shall we? So, you want to hook these suction hoses up to your throttle bodies, carburetors, fuel injection, whatever you're working on. I put the left side, of course it's because the left side of the machine, to the left throttle body. I put the right side suction hose to the right throttle body. Alright. Then what you want to do is you want to turn these screws out 1.5 times, which I already did. This has already been done with my bike, so I'm not going to really touch anything. I'm just going to go through the instructions. By starting up the bike, it's going to make a bunch of racket and you may not be able to hear me. You see this mark right here? This little mark, blue mark you see in the middle? Okay. That was by my 1.5 turns. In other words, I went 1.5 turns. And I did that in both throttle bodies. You can see that down here. See this little mark right there, okay, so let's continue. After you do that, you want to loosen these guys. You want to loosen these up. Now you still have to tighten the nut down, but you want to loosen your set screws down until there's slack in the cable that goes in that reel. It's not really focusing in when I do that, but you see the cable there, and you see the rail. Okay, you want to make sure that those suckers are slack on both sides, left and right, because you want it seated in its idle position. You don't want anything pulling. You want it nice and relaxed in its idle position. You want to know this, so yes, back them off, make sure they slacks in them, and then you want to start the bike. Now when you start the bike, you're going to see this light, and it's either going to go to or from, whichever way, which throttle body's pulling at idle more than the other. Alright, now here's the part that I want to emphasize here that's very important. When a throttle body does pull more than the other one, okay, what I did, I still have this little booger on the, there it goes, it's off now, it won't bother you. So you can go the full adjustment on one throttle body to even it off. Okay, you can do that, but I didn't do that, and I'm explaining to you what I did. It was at 1.5, okay, and what I did was I pulled it out to here and to here, I think it was. Yeah, it was right there. And I said, well, I don't want to do that. I want to compensate with the other, compromise with the other side, the adjustment that's needed to make this light up to the happy face. Isn't that a nice happy face there? Happy face. Okay, so I went back halfway between what was needed, and then I compromised on the other side with going the other part of the travel this way. Okay? So in other words, if I had to turn it a full turn on this side, I'm only going to go a half turn on this side and then another half turn on that side. I'm going to split up the full turn. I'm going to put a half over here and a half over here. If you understand that more better in its terminology that I just described it. All right. Now, when you got the idle nice and humming at happy face, happy face, okay, you want to go on to the next process, but I want to explain this zero right here. Okay, I'm really finicky. See how it lights up yellow right there and then green right there? That's not zero right there, right when it lights up green. That's the left side of zero. Look how much travel before it goes to the yellow on the right side, carb 2. Right there. And I can say zero's right here, but it's really not there because zero is over here. So you want to compromise and go right in the middle. And you might say, well, that's not the middle. Look at that. The zero's printed here. It should be directly up the zero. So this should be right about here. Okay? And it's not. Okay? Things that were built into this contraption right here are not exactly lined up with the lettering, you know, on the system. You want to go by the system sensitivity and everything and go from right here, okay, right when it gets to zero, maybe right here. See that? That's not zero though, it's the left hand side of zero. Then you want to go over here, maybe right there's the right hand side of zero. So we know that it's about right there. That's the 0 point right there. That's the neutral point, not the right hand side of neutral or the left hand side of neutral. That's the neutral point. This right here is your sensitivity, your resolution, CM mercury. You can play around with that if you want. All right, now let's go on to the next step. The next step is to start twisting the set screw, which is right here, out so it goes up. Now you're going to pull out the cable, okay? Now, while you're doing this, go very, 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 very slow. Because when you do, you're going to see this popping over to the lighting up the yellow, okay? And then you know that it's pulling. Well, guess what? You want to back it off a little bit, just a little bit, slowly. When you do, this is going to move back down to the green. And just as it moves back down to the green, you might want to go a hair more. YouTube has sensitivity for certain words, so we won't word that one, right? We won't verbalize that word. All right? And then you want to do the same thing over on the other side of the bike. All right? And then when you do that, okay, and you know that the throttle body, after you twist the throttle, which I'll do it right now for you. Let me see if I can focus in first the camera. Boop. And it'll go like this. You want to make sure that it goes right down to its resting position when it's down. but you don't want any slack in it, because that means that when you twist the throttle, you're gonna have a little play. You don't want that. But you want them both to pull at the same time too. So do as I told you to do. And the instructions on the second part that I told you to do them. And that will help you out. So let's start the bike up right now. Key on. Bike starts up. And it's at 0. Now let's rev her up a little bit. It went to the yellow. Ooh. So that means that I have to adjust something. And I'll do that off camera because I need both my hands. Something probably got out of adjustment a little bit. Maybe by me finicking with the 0. But that's how you work the tool. And it's really good, even right now, as it's kind of like going the other way. But that little part, okay, where it goes to yellow, I'm going to fix. I'm going to put it on pause and fix that right now and explain to you how I fix that when I come back. Alright, I'm back. It was a fraction of a hair adjustment, and it was the amount of slack actually that was on the cable. Right, focusing in on that. Let's see. There's a screw, so there's a cable right there. And I was so finicky about them having the absolute slightest on top of slightest. You can see the cable a little bit, just a hair. And that hair, that 2 hairs, caused it to be off. Okay, so I just took a hair out and left it just a hair, because you do want just a very, 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 very little amount of slack in there. Very little. Okay, just so your eye notices it, no further. Okay. So that's it, guys. That's it. That's how you use the tool. And oh, maybe I should probably start her up to prove that I fixed it. There we go. Starting her up. And a little starter issue, but that's another issue. Alright, so here we go.
Happy face! Happy!
Okay. That's my video. Like, share, and subscribe. Give it a thumbs up and help the next guy out, alright? And get yourself one of these tools, they're great. And if you're an Amazon Prime, you might get it overnighted like me, like I did, and have it the next morning. You order it that night and you have it the next morning. Alright guys, I'll see you in the next one. Take care.